endless ways to customize your meal and have it your way. And now kids of all ages can add a limited edition toy. Ask your server for a toy and get one free with every meal. Only while supplies last. Burger King, grilling in Cayman for 40 years. Easter eats. Hop in this Easter weekend for Foster's Easter dinners with new recipes for an even better spread.
Order your main, sides, and desserts online starting at $94.99. Then pick it up in store, ready to feed up to 8.
Choose from a leg of lamb, an oven roasted turkey, or maple glazed ham.
Then select 3 sides and either pumpkin or apple pie for dessert. Plus, every order comes with dinner rolls, gravy, and cranberry sauce.
Order your Easter holiday dinner online today at fosters.ky.
Foster's, better because we care.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery. Inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy. Taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.
This is For the Record with Orrett Conner.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the Record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Conner.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees, so fair. Today is Wednesday, the 29th day of March 2022, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. We hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or operating any type of motorized vehicle, we urge you to please, please, please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road, and the life you save may just be your own. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday, or if you celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday to you as well. And to remind you that For the Record birthday shoutouts are proudly brought to you by life insurance agent Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center, whose advice to you is to make the right decision for your family's future today. So if you know someone who's celebrating a birthday today, or celebrated one yesterday, or will be celebrating one tomorrow, please let us know, and we will give them a birthday shout out. We know that Miss Irma Arch will be celebrating her birthday on Friday, the 31st of March, so we wish her happy birthday in advance. But Friday, God's willing, For the Record will be on the air as well, and we will give her a birthday shout out on Friday also. For those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing to you as well. And in particular this morning, we want to extend our sincere condolences to the family of Pastor Marquis McLaughlin, who we understand unfortunately and sadly passed away early this morning. So we want to extend our sincere condolences to him. He is certainly a prominent figure, not only in the district of East End, but also in the Cayman Islands, also, you know, one of our educators. So we want to extend our sincere condolences to Pastor Marcus's family. Also to the family of the young man, don't have a name yet, who unfortunately lost his life in a fatal, what appears to be a hit and run accident last night on Frank Sound Road as well. So we want to extend our sincere condolences to both families. For those of you who are ill and are either at home here in the Cayman Islands or at a medical facility overseas, we wish you a speedy recovery as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Conner, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. Radio voice of Silver Fox, Mr. Paul Akal, waiting to take your calls. You can call us on a toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us 925-3261. Follow us on YouTube by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream, and we are on Facebook as well. So, folks, this morning we want to talk. We know that people have concerns out there. We know that the Cayman Islands, from a political standpoint, is extremely stable, but we also know that, you know, as far as the politics are concerned, that anything could happen at any point in time. What we want to do, and when I say we, it is my pleasure to have in the studio with me Dr. Steve McField this morning. We want to, as much as possible, have a positive outlook and express that positive outlook for the Cayman Islands. And while we will, talk about changes and how they come about, we will also be talking about the concerns that we see persons in the Cayman Islands expressing in terms of development, in terms of the cost of living, the crime situation in the Cayman Islands, whether or not they're being heard by their elected representatives. We will talk about those things as well, but we want to reassure and want everyone to be reassured that despite those concerns and everything else, that the Cayman Islands are still politically stable. We have been through transitions and peaceful transitions, and we will continue to do that as well. So while some persons may have a dismal outlook for the Cayman Islands, we want to, while being realistic, we want to keep it as positive as possible. So before we go to the commercial break, I want to say good morning. Welcome back to Dr. Steve McField, and have him say a few words in terms of, how we're going to approach this morning's show.
Thank you. Good morning to you, Mr. For the Record, and good morning to all the people for the Record land, and all the people in the Cayman diaspora, and all those people who listen to you Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Thank you again for inviting me onto your show. A lot of people have been asking me about the departure of the minister, and the minister for Finance and the former Minister for Finance and Border Control and Labor. And I want to try to explain to them how the system works. Right. We're not talking about the reasons for his departure, and we're not talking about whatever differences they may have or what is circulating on the media. I'm only talking about the constitutional part of it and what happens when there's a disagreement, and what between the premier and a minister or a governor. And so I would like to lay that out this morning, with your permission. So people who have asked me how is that possible that could happen, because it happens all the time. It happens all the time, in not only this jurisdiction but many other jurisdictions. So I would like to do that this morning when you give me a chance.
Certainly. And before we go to our first commercial break, to remind you that the For the Record birthday shout-out proudly brought to you by life insurance agent Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center, whose advice is make the right decision for your family's future today. And we are advised that Jane Eric Smith, also known as Notch, is celebrating birthday today. Also, Miss Erica Connolly celebrating a birthday. So we want to wish Jane Eric Smith and Erica Connolly and Jean Eric Smith, also known as Notch, celebrating their birthdays today. Want to wish them a happy birthday as well. With that, folks, we're going to take our first commercial break. Please stay tuned. For the Record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
James Malcolm Eden, 1901 to 1972. Malcolm Eden was born in Lord Valley to Mrs. L.T. Isabel Eden and James Manoah Eden. He was a hard-working man who worked from a young age as a seaman and joined the Merchant Marine in the United States. He also worked as a butcher, farmed, raised cattle, and served as a vestryman for many years. He was a lifetime elder of the Presbyterian Church of Savannah. He had 6 sisters, Clydine, Sybil, Elvira, Norma, Jeray, and Louise, and 3 brothers, Stoshel, Montreville, and Bailey.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
Now is your chance for big savings on all GE appliances at Brand Source Home Gallery. Shop now through the 31st and save 15% on all GE appliances, laundry centers, refrigerators, ranges, cooktops, wall ovens, beverage centers, wine coolers, hoods, and more. Now through the 31st at Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park. Don't miss this chance to save 15% on all GE appliances. Hurry in today and save big. And also find fantastic deals on scratch and dent appliances.
They say you only live once. I say you only die once, but you live every day. I'm Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center, longtime supporter of Radio Cayman. Happiness is in the journey, not the destination. When you're ready, I'm here to support you with the best financial decisions for your family's future. Cayman Insurance Center, protecting you and your family so you can take back your future. I'm Michael Webster, the sure way to protect your family. Call me when you're ready at 925-5433. Don't take chances with your family's future or your valuable assets.
Think life insurance.
System 1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Conner.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It's my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Dr. Steve McField. We also have another birthday, actually two. Happy birthday to Junior and Joanne, JR and Joanne, and they're coming from Mom Jennifer. So JR and Joanne, Joannie, happy birthday. Let me read that again. JR and Joannie from Mom Jennifer, happy birthday to both of you, coming from your mom, Jennifer. And if you have more birthday shout-outs, send them to us anyway. We will recognize them, despite the fact that we have that segment that is brought to you by life insurance agent Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center has gone by, but we will still acknowledge birthday shout-outs as well. So, folks, we have about 9 minutes. Doc, new governor for the Cayman Islands. We know that the Governor Martin Roper leaves today. Once he leaves, then Deputy Governor Honorable France Manderson will be acting governor. I've been trying to determine when the new governor will be here, and everything seems to point to the fact that she will take up her appointment in April of this year. So next month she'll take it up. We've had occasions where governors have been not arrived, for several months. But in this particular case, she is coming, weeks. A matter of weeks, which in a sense is good, from a transition standpoint. And the reason that I was curious about that is because we're still hearing that there's a tenuous situation, as far as the PAC government is concerned.
Yeah, and by the way,
all is not settled.
And by the way, the Honorable France Manderson is now acting governor, and I think that
once the governor has
once the governor leaves today,
yes,
and then Gloria McField Nixon will be acting deputy governor.
Yeah, that's normally the
case. That's normally how the transition works.
Yeah.
It works.
And my concern is that because of this tenuous situation that still exists, and I'm told, and these are just rumors, I have no way of confirming them, and some may say, well, maybe if it's only a rumor you shouldn't mention it, but I will mention it simply because it will lead into what I want to say after that. That even on the weekend there was that possibility of the PAC sort of separating because of concerns about how the new appointments went, and who should become deputy premier, or whether or not persons were consulted when these changes were being made as well. Because one of the things that we would not want to occur, and we see that this is a short period, but despite that, even with a new governor coming, that you don't want any governor, either acting or one who's just coming into the role, having to be faced with a situation of calling new elections, if that is possible.
A situation
we don't
of
want that to
uncertainty.
happen. Yes, yeah.
A situation of uncertainty. And I have never seen that before in the transition period. I have never seen that before, where there is some irreparable seems to be some irreparable differences between ministers and cabinet. I have searched in the last few days, and I haven't seen anything like that. I think this is the only time that the governor has departed and one is coming in, where there is some uncertainty as to the life of the present government. But that leads me into the question that a lot of people have been asking me: how is it possible that you can have a change, like the change that we had? And perhaps I don't have the time to do that now before the break.
Right. Yeah.
So
we'll come back to that.
Back to that.
Why don't we just look at the bio of the new governor who's arriving?
Yes,
I think that would be useful as well.
Mm-hmm.
So her name is Jane Owen,
and she's no relative to Governor Owen.
Not to my knowledge.
Well, I have already researched that.
Okay.
And she's no relative to the past Governor Owen, who was here some time ago.
Right. And
she's not his wife, the past governor's wife.
Right. Her husband was David Donnelly, who passed away, is deceased in 2017. She has 2 children. From 2017 to present, she was ambassador to Bern, Her Majesty's ambassador and non-resident in the Principality of Liechtenstein. 2014 to 2016, she was the UK Trade and Investment Deputy CEO and Chief Operating Officer. 2010 to 2014, she was the ambassador, Her Majesty's ambassador to Oslo. 2006 to 2010, she was in New Delhi, Counselor for Trade, Finance, Science, and Change. In 2002 to 2006, she was Commercial Counselor in Tokyo. 1998 to 2001, she was the Deputy Head of Mission in Hanoi. 1996 to 1998, she was the Head Mediterranean and Asian Section in the FCO. 1993 to 1996, Department of International Trade Head, Japan. 1990 to 1993, Tokyo Second Secretary for Trade. 1988 to 1990, Full-Time Language Training, Japan. 1987 to 1988, FCO Desk Officer, Central America Department. 1986 to 87, Japan English Teaching Program. So, it looks like she has moved up through the ranks of the diplomatic corps.
Not only she's moved up through the ranks, but she has a solid foundation of diplomatic experience.
Right. Yes. Yes.
And I guess we'll be drawing on that. I certainly will be drawing on that experience.
She will have to be the consummate diplomat here in the Cayman Islands.
Yes, I mean, she of all the governors that have come, I think she seems to have the most experience diplomatically than any of them, because most of them has just come from an office from a desk in the foreign Commonwealth office,
and some overseas, but I've never seen any as extensive as
this one.
Yeah. Certainly. Okay, folks, we've reached the top of the hour. 8 o'clock news. When we return, we're going to get into the meat of the program. And what I'm going to ask Dr. Macfield to do is we're going to look at the Constitution and, talk about how the Constitution reads in terms of the appointment of ministers and everything. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Radio Cayman time check now, 8 a.m. This time check brought to you by our friends at Foster's.
Easter?
Eats.
Hop in this Easter weekend for Foster's Easter dinners with new recipes for an even better spread.
Order your main, sides, and desserts online starting at $94.99. Then pick it up in store, ready to feed up to 8.
Choose from a leg of lamb, an oven-roasted turkey, or maple glazed ham.
Then select 3 sides and either pumpkin or apple pie for dessert. Plus, every order comes with dinner rolls, gravy, and cranberry sauce.
Order your Easter holiday dinner online today at fosters.ky.
Foster's, better because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Police are investigating a hit and run that left one person dead and another in critical condition. Shortly after 9 p.m. Tuesday night, police were sent to a crash on Frank Sound Road near Botanic Road after a Chevrolet Blazer reportedly slammed into 2 cyclists. Police say the driver did not stop and the 2 victims were carried to the hospital where one was pronounced dead. This is Cayman's 3rd fatal crash of the year. Lawmakers will soon debate amendments to the Monetary Authority Act. A new amendment bill was published this week that, if passed in Parliament, will expand the power of the authority. This will give them the power to impose administrative fines, to provide for the liability of partnerships, limited liability partnerships, exempted limited partnerships, and unincorporated associations for offenses. The amendment bill also provides for the disclosure and sharing of information. That bit in particular will allow the authority to share information relating to criminal conduct that is discovered in the performance of their regulatory functions to an overseas regulatory authority, and its discretion upon request by a competent authority share information relating to a person or entity regulated under Cayman's Monetary Authority Act. You can find the full bill online at gazettes.gov.ky. And several Caymanians earn recognition after nabbing certifications to help strengthen the local labor force. CIGTV's Donna Bush reports.
Well, 27 students, 19 of those from the water sports industry and 7 females, celebrated their achievements through the Inspire Cayman training program on the weekend.
Give them the assurance of an independent certification and a competitive edge in any part of the world.
The Ministries of Tourism, Labor and Work sponsored the Water Sports and Professional Development Training Certifications. Employer partnerships and community donors who contributed to educating 120 Caymanians over the past 4 years were also recognized. Areas of certification at Inspire Cayman are vast, but includes employability skills, heavy equipment simulator training, sales training, basic business skills, and customer service basics, just to name a few. Ministers the Honorable Kenneth Bryan, Dwayne Seymour, Andre Ebanks, and Opposition Leader Mr. Roy McTaggart attended and took part in the event along with the Honorable Premier. Inspire Cayman Training has over 4,000 in-class and online training programs that provides upskilling, soft skills, and retooling for Caymanians waiting to develop careers and have the skills necessary for job advancement.
Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller.
BBC News with Jerry Smith.
Elon Musk and Apple's co-founder Steve Wozniak are among some of the biggest names in global technology who've signed an open letter saying powerful artificial intelligence systems should only be further developed once there's confidence that the effects will be positive. They say recent advances in AI present profound risks to society. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has reacted angrily to President Biden's suggestion that he should abandon plans to reform the judiciary. Mr. Netanyahu said on Twitter that Israel would make its own decisions. Pakistan's National Assembly has passed a draft law that aims to curtail the power of the Supreme Court. Under the proposed change, the court's Chief Justice would no longer be able to initiate cases on his own initiative. Instead, a panel of 3 judges will also be involved. Saudi Arabia has agreed to join the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, strengthening Riyadh's growing ties with Beijing. The organization was set up 2 decades ago as a counterweight to international institutions perceived to be Western-dominated. The head of the UN's Atomic Energy Agency is making a second visit to Ukraine's giant nuclear power plant at Zaporizhzhia, which Russia seized shortly after its invasion began. Rafael Grossi has described conditions at the plant as precarious. The Indian Environment Minister says a female cheetah has given birth to 4 cubs. Asian cheetahs became extinct 7 decades ago, but the Indian government released 8 African cheetahs last year in a project to reintroduce the big cats. King Charles has arrived in Germany at the start of his first state visit as British monarch. He'd been due to go to France last Sunday, but widespread protests against pension reforms there forced the trip to be postponed. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. At Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Brickay, where people come first.
Once again, good morning, my friends. Let's take a look at your weather on the outside. It's mostly sunny and nice. Present temperature 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are out of the northeast, 16 miles per hour. Relative humidity about 76%. Barometric pressure still at 80.00 inches and dropping. Light winds and slight seas are expected over the Cayman Islands due to a weak pressure gradient over the Caribbean. So the forecast for today, partly cloudy skies, 30% chance of afternoon showers. Temperatures will rise to the mid-80s. Winds will be east to northeast at 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. And looking at tonight, fair to partly cloudy skies, 20% chance of showers. Temperatures will fall to the mid-70s. Winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be slight. Wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Greater high tide, low tide will be at 12:29, and then high again at 5:48. Sunset will be at 6:37, and the outlook is for moderate winds and slight seas through Thursday evening, with an increase in cloudiness and chances of showers thereafter as a front moves over the extreme northwest Caribbean. That, my friends, is your latest weather.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. If you're going to invest in an exotic pet, choose anything but a Norwegian forest cat. Apparently, they will eat all your jewelry. Before you know it, you're racing to the vet when your cat escapes from his carrier and lunges for your earrings. You crash and your cat swallows your pearls. But if you're smart, you'll have CG Motor Insurance and get the best comprehensive coverage for the price.
Get the best comprehensive coverage for the price. CG Brit-K. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Brit-K, where people come first.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Achieving our goals is rewarding, but at times can feel frustrating, especially if and when we miss our target. As you approach your goals in life, set yourself up for success. When setting your goals, tell a friend. An accountability partner is often helpful in achieving our goals. Let your parents or partner know what you're planning on doing. Sharing with others also helps us clarify our vision. Writing down your goals can help to solidify them and help you to stay accountable. Change your thinking and change your life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. OnCourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Alrighty, my friends, let's take a look at the traffic situation. Of course, streets in Georgetown getting much busier. Lots of traffic movement along Edward Street. And of course, coming down, those heading on to Main Street and then on to Shedden Road. Traffic flowing smoothly. Looking at Eastern Avenue as well. Traffic flowing moderate in that vicinity. And of course, we have 2 cruise ships in port right now, so more pedestrian movements will be happening in the Seafarers Way, Georgetown vicinities. Looking down at West Bay Road, good flow of traffic heading into the Georgetown area. And of course, the Butterfield roundabout busy at this time of the morning. Traffic in all directions, slow traffic coming off the Esley Tibbetts. And of course, on North Sound Road, traffic still pouring out of the eastern districts. Still moving slowly but surely, so expect 15 to 20 minute delays. Crew Road, traffic backed up as well, and also on the Linford Pearson. Of course, this all dissipates as the morning progresses, and you will make it in time if you left earlier and anticipated the delays in the traffic. Buckle up and stay safe, my friends. Again, too much accidents happening out there. Take your time on the roads. Your traffic report brought to you by our good friends at Subway.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist, or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce, all piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Songs Sweet as Spring. The 2023 Jubilate Orchestra and Choir in performance. The Harkwell Theatre, Wednesday, March 29, 5:30 p.m. A joint fundraising event by the Rotary Club of Grand Cayman and the Jubilate. Jubilate, inspiring young children in transition toward purpose and fulfillment through guidance. Reserve your ticket now through christianjvictory@gmail.com. Songs Sweet as Spring. Jubilate Orchestra and Choir, opening a universe of opportunity, supported by Rotary Central. Get your $50 ticket today. christianjvictory@gmail.com. All proceeds go to Rotary Club Grand Cayman and Jubilate. Help a child discover hidden talents. Jubilate and a Rotary, all the good you imagine.
K-Band In Style Fashion Week is here. A weekend of fashion, art, and music. Local and international models will grace the runway. Events will kick off with a welcome party on Thursday, March 30th, 7 p.m. at Courtyard, Grand Pavilion. The soiree is on Friday, March 31st, 6 p.m. at the Ritz-Carlton, hosted by international celebrities Anita Hawkins and Jacinth Headlam. America's Next Top Models, Kiara Belen and Naima Mora, will host the exciting runway show on Saturday, April 1st. Red carpet from 6 to 7 p.m. and showtime is at 7 p.m. On Sunday, April 2nd, enjoy the Escape, a chartered sailing excursion. Join Cayman In Style Fashion Week for this exciting 4 days of events. Part proceeds to the Alex Panton Foundation. Get your tickets from NKY Collection, Funky Monkey, Creative Fashion and Design, Ooh La La, Winner's Circle, Funky Tangs, and Rock Gorgeous Hair Salon.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
For the record, with Orrett Conner.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Conner. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve McFeel. We're going to first of all look at our Constitution. Someone has written something here. Let me read this before. This person says, I have noticed that whenever England wants to retire one of their diplomats, I noticed that Cayman is where they normally send them. For instance, the package that offers them is to send them to Cayman for 4 years. Why? Because for the next 4 years, everything is for free unless they want to donate some of their salary to some charity or others. Well, if we look at the history of governors, for instance, in Bermuda, governors were usually admirals or navy men, admirals, and involved with the military, simply because of the strategic importance of Bermuda
and the security of the English gentry who lived there.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So in Bermuda, for instance, they had a history of having military men as governors. Similarly, Gibraltar, that's basically who they had as governors.
And Jamaica too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. In Cayman, we have had usually members of the diplomatic corps. And bear in mind now that in the UK, they have also put the positions out to competitive, not tendering, but people can compete for it. You apply, you are interviewed and everything. It is not just a matter of selecting one person and say, okay, you're going to be now the governor.
Yes.
That has changed somewhat. It has also changed to the extent that they will, in the past, and when the Cayman Islands Constitution 2009 was being negotiated, one of the points were that our negotiators, or Cayman negotiators, wanted to have more say in the appointment of governors. Didn't make a whole lot of inroads, on that, because we basically wanted to say to them, we're going to give you a list of the attributes that we want to see in a governor, and you should take those and match them up with whom you're selecting if we're not going to have a say in that. They basically tell us, what the person is bringing to the table, but we have not ever had the opportunity to look at, let's say, 3 candidates
and say this
who were shortlisted, and this is the one that we want.
We would like to have.
Yeah.
Or we have not been able to put our own name or our own candidate's name forward.
Yes.
As favorable for the appointment.
And we have had some good governors, or some what people consider to be good, and we have had
some bad ones too.
Weren't bad at all. Of course, like I said on Monday, that the standard that has been set was by Mr. Thomas Russell.
Oh,
and I haven't seen anyone yet that has been able to achieve that level.
But you must remember too that in the days of Mr. Russell, in the 70s to the 60s, in the 70s to the 80s, there was I would say a charged political movement here for further autonomy than it is today.
Yes, that's true. That is true.
And Caymanian people were more involved into the political system than they are today, and they were looking to have a larger say in their in their affairs, and were looking forward to their destiny being different from it is today.
Yeah.
And so they had a governor who was sympathetic with those views, and who was favorable to those principles that the Caymanian people had adopted and were thinking in those days. And the fact is, and that he told me this himself, because I think that there are only about 3 or 4 of us that has letters from him as to who it may concern.
Okay.
What they call a good conduct letter. I think Woody Terry got one. I got one. I can't remember who else got. And he says, remember now, I am a Scotchman.
Yes.
I'm different. I'm a Scotchman. I also was, my country is also under colonial rule.
And still is.
And so that's what he reminded me. He used to remind me about that all the time.
Yes.
And that's what he had a lot of sympathy.
So, and he had a completely different perspective, in terms of the right of self-determination and the right to self-rule.
That's right.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because people still don't realize that the whole issue of independence for Scotland is a hot one.
It's a hot one.
It is.
I would go so far as to say that is why the present Scottish leader has quit the job.
And you see who they have now.
Yes.
There, you look at the name of the new leader of the Scottish National Party.
Yes.
And look at his background and where he comes from immigrant parents, as well.
Yes.
So it goes to show you how things. But speaking now about more vibrant movement in the Cayman Islands, these social media platforms are making people lazy. because you see them there expressing their views to other members of the chat groups and talking about this and talking about that, and they're hoping that those elected members who are within that group are listening and stuff. Those people need to get off of their you-know-what and get out there so that others can hear what they have to say, so that others can know what their concerns are, because they're simply keeping it within a group. And I'm not sure whether or not these social media platforms are going to lead to more activism.
I don't think so.
For Caymanians,
I don't think so.
Or less.
I don't think so. I think what it seems to be leading into more division than activism. And the problem that I have, it's more onto the everyday. I don't want to use the word, but it's more on the everyday minor problems that we face. They're making that a big problem. It's not. They're not touching intellectual problems. They're not touching high constitutional problems and high political problems and economic and educational problems. And there is no editorial content. It's completely void of editorial contents. Yep. So you don't know what their policies are or where they're leaning. The first thing I do when I go to a country to give me an idea of where the country is and where they're leaning and where they're going is I look at their driving to see whether how their courteous behavior
discipline,
to each other, and their newspaper. That's the first thing I do. I read the newspaper. I read the different newspapers to see which one is which one has that content that you're looking for, that raises a country up and moves a country forward instead of keeping a country in turmoil.
Okay, we have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. How are you now?
I'm good. And good morning to the Honorable Doc.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, you locked me out yesterday evening.
No, I had to go to a meeting yesterday, and I was picked up by someone else.
Oh.
Yeah, so I had to leave
I'm being substituted now, eh?
No. Lord Graham, I would never substitute your fiefdom, your kingdom, for anybody else's influence.
Okay. I heard OC read out the experience that the incoming governor
yes
has. If that have anything to do with anything, we on the right track, because all what she have done and places she have been, that kind of fit in, and not having the usual military experience. So like her experience got to be fit right in with our type of business that we conduct. And,
yeah, she's been a complete career diplomat.
Right, yep.
Yeah. So I hope we can use all that experience going forward, or she put it to use. If not, my good friend and cousin from East End will be on top of her. The former MP.
Yes.
You know. No, I have so many topics that I saved to call in, and this one went on to just touch on a kind of like independence, kind of from Scotland and stuff like that. I wanted to, and now that Doc's on there with his experience and knowledge, I would like him to explain for all those arrogant ones out there that have often have conversation and telling tourists things like Cayman was owned by Jamaica, and that if they supply us with everything that we have, and if they stop, we would perish, and you know, they're the kind of conversation I'm hearing. So I want Doc to let the public know, because we got Caymanians that do not know our history, that we were independent. It was a group of independent people long before 1962 when Jamaica got their independence. And the only reason that we was associated with Jamaica in the way that we were was not by our choice, but it was because England thought that we were a bunch of runaway renegades. And that was when the Cayman Act came into place to reel us in. And as soon as we got the opportunity, we broke away. And during the time when we was under a rule, whatever you want to call it, they had no direct involvement in our local government. We made our own decisions where it came on local government. So I would like the doc to kind of elaborate on that. He's sharper and use more flavor words than I would use.
Well, Lord, if you stay under the line there, Lord Graham, when Penn and Venables, Admiral Penn and General Venables, took Jamaica in 1655 from the French, from the Spaniards, it was assumed that Cayman would be part of the islands that would be belong to the British, as long as Turks and Caicos Island also. So from 1655, there was no constitutional or political or affiliation between Jamaica and Cayman. There was no constitutional responsibility for Cayman by anyone, and so Cayman was left alone as a three islands out into the Caribbean with sort of no direction. And then the settlers that came after 1655, a lot of them were deserters from Cromwell's army, because remember now, Lord Cromwell was the one who his generals and his admiral took the Jamaica away from the Spaniards, and he had deposed of Charles I, chopped his head off, and Lord Cromwell then became the Lord Protector of England, and England was without a monarchy for 11 years, near 12 years. A lot of people who didn't like that, they were called the Loyalists. A lot of them ran from the colonies in America to Canada. A lot of them came to Bermuda. A lot of them came to Bahamas, and likewise, a lot of them left the garrison and their life in Jamaica and came to Cayman Islands, where they brought their slaves with them. So there was no one paid any political or constitutional attention to Cayman Islands. And so Caymanians ran everything by themselves. They were allotted this. They were sort of out here, like I say, alone. They had no minister. They had no church. They had to fend for themselves. So they took to the sea. They built their own boats, their own ships, and stuff. And the only contact they had with Jamaica then was the economic contact with Jamaica, selling their turtle. Going there for provisions and selling their horses and so forth, selling the things that they grew here, because Cayman had a vibrant export business in those days. They exported to many different countries. And then in 1831, the men in Cayman then decided that this loose government, this loose association that we have with Jamaica, is not doing us any good. They don't really care about us, and so the men in the freedmen in Cayman decided that they would form their own government. They would take their life, their destiny in their own hands. And in December 1831, the 10th of December 1831, they formed the Cayman legislature, the upper house and lower house, what they call a bicameral legislature. That was called the vestry, and the lower house was made of the vestrymen, and the upper house was made of the magistrates. And they ran the country as an independent country from 1831 until 1863, when we had something called the Cayman Act. Now, the Cayman Act came about because it became Jamaica then started to take an interest in Cayman, and to say, and say, I'm using lay terms now so everybody can understand that why are these peoples are supposed to be under the British flag and they're independent, and who gave them the right to be independent? It wasn't the governor from Jamaica, and it wasn't the governor from it wasn't the colonial office, but the men took it themselves. They were fed up. They went to Jamaica, and they saw the governor, and there were reasons why after they left that meeting with the governor in Jamaica in October 1831 that they were dissatisfied with what the governor told them. And I don't want to go into all of that because it takes too long. Mm-hmm. And then they came back and they formed their own government.
Okay.
Now they were an independent country, but from 1831 until 1863, when the British government, on the advice of the governor from Jamaica, passed what they call in Parliament the Caymanian Act.
Right, an act for the government of the Cayman Islands, on the 2nd of June, 1863.
1863.
Here it is.
Yes, an act, 1863, and it was on the 22nd of June, 1863, an act for the government of the Cayman Islands, and it says, whereas certain magistrates and other inhabitants of the island of Grand Cayman from time to time, in vestry or otherwise, pass or assume to pass certain acts of resolutions for the government of the Cayman Islands, and whereas doubts are entertained whether such acts or resolutions are of any effect in the said islands, and by what authority laws may be made for the government of the same, and what laws are actually enforced therein, that it is expedient that such doubt should be set to have been valid and effectual for all purposes whatsoever within the said Cayman Islands from the date at which the same shall purport to have been passed. So that's one of the reasons why they passed this act. Now, what this act did, it gave the legislature of Cayman, of Jamaica, the right, the right to make laws for the peace, order, and good governance of Cayman Islands, as if Cayman was
part
of Jamaica. Mm-hmm. That is what the act says. It didn't say that Jamaica was ruling us or whatever. It gave them to make laws for the peace, order, and good governance of our country. Now, during that time, from the inception, from 1655, 1831, 1863, until 1972, even though the legislature of Jamaica has the right to make laws for the good governance of the Cayman Islands, the Caymanian people conducted and evolved where they conducted the business of the island themselves through commissioners.
Okay, got to go to a commercial break. We're about 7 minutes past it, folks. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly. I think we have 2 other callers on hold. We will accommodate those callers as well. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Are you feeling sick but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy to understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. No one can stop me when I taste the feel. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Now is your chance for big savings on all GE appliances at Brand Source Home Gallery. Shop now through the 31st and save 15% on all GE appliances, laundry centers, refrigerators, ranges, cooktops, wall ovens, beverage centers, wine coolers, hoods, and more. Now through the 31st at Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park. Don't miss this chance to save 15% on all GE appliances. Hurry in today and save big. And also find fantastic deals on scratch and dent appliances.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
She hear clunk and her car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN Money transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
You know what I love to do with my family? Go fishing. I can put the bait on and cast and reel the line all by myself. My mommy and daddy say when they were little, there were plenty more fish to catch, but now there are lots more people fishing, so it's harder to find them. That's why we have marine parks now. They set some areas aside so the fish there can have babies and grow bigger. Then they swim out to other areas where I can catch them. Having the marine parks means there will still be fish there when I'm grown up and fishing with a family of my own.
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Conner.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Conner. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We still have 2 callers on hold. Let's grab the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller. No one there, Paul. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC. Am I on? I thought that,
Yes, you are, caller. Go right ahead.
Okay, thanks very much. Good morning to both of you, Dr. Steve and OC.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Samamba. How are you, sir?
Good morning, sir. I'm fine, thank you. Very interesting this morning that you kicked off with a number of interesting topics. First of all, let me just comment a little bit, although that was not my main part of the call, about you spoke about some Scots, like governors and those kinds of people.
Yes.
It's very, very interesting, that wherever they had a Scotsman in charge of any aspect of the colonies, their approach to dealing with the local people was very often very different. Mm-hmm. In the early 60s, there was a secretary for the colonies called Ian MacLeod. And Ian MacLeod oversaw a number of African countries which became independent. And when he came to visit Northern Rhodesia, for example, he came there and there was a demonstration at the airport. And they were very surprised that he spoke to the demonstrators and actually acknowledged that their fight for independence was very genuine. So I just found that to be very, very interesting. And apparently the Caribbean and Cayman is at the same experience. Now, about the government, which is what I really called. I don't know if how stable this government is, and I think also you're right to ask the question. In terms of numbers, according to my count, I think the PACT government still has 12 members. PPM has got 6. And Chris, I imagine, might be an independent at least for a while. Mm-hmm. But I don't know whether those numbers are really going to hold, because to me, I think what happened in relation to the government, which is the real purpose of my call, it raises a number of fundamental issues about how the British government and the governors view the local legislative assembly. In the first place, okay, we have to go by the way with the reports which were in the paper, and I think the report in the campus was pretty credible, and most of that was like quotations of emails, and they have not been refuted in terms of their content, so I'll base my comments on that.
Okay.
It seems that the governor, well, it is actually true that the governor imputed improper motives regarding why the gambling bill was being referred to committee. To me, that was highly improper, especially somebody who comes from the diplomatic corps. That is highly improper. You don't do that. If he wanted to express those concerns, he should have expressed them, I think, more discreetly. Perhaps speak to the premier privately first. Or just be more discreet about it. What he did, apparently, he went to cabinet, told them that he heard rumors that some of them were getting money, and then when they resisted to say, well, but we still have to take the matter to the committee, he then went back the following week and said, well, if you are unhappy about these rumors, the way to squash them is for you to pass a bill. To me, at that point, it became so egregious, and I think those who were unhappy with the way he behaved were absolutely entitled to feel that way. Mm-hmm. And then secondly, also he said, well, he was entitled to push that point. I engaged him on this on another show, and the word he used is, I am entitled to push the issues relating to law enforcement. But you see, under Section 81 of the Constitution, he is only supposed to override the Legislative Assembly in 4 areas. I think it's internal security, external security, defense, and appointments. But then he said because this was about law and order, he was entitled to intervene. Again, that's too broad an interpretation of law and order. If that's his view of law and order, then virtually every piece of legislation is law and order. He should also, for example, have intervened. I mean, Mike Adam was being molested by a person in West Bay for 2 years. Why didn't he intervene about that? That was about law and order and the right of access. Why hasn't he intervened in the beach access case? I'm still involved with beach access with some of the West Bay ladies and so on. A lot of people are suffering around that. Why didn't he intervene in relation to that? I think he was wrong. But in closing, let me close this way. By him insisting that actually the parliament should have passed the bill when he wanted it to be passed, he was interfering with the internal legislative processes of parliament. And therefore, it means he has no respect for Cayman's representative democracy, no respect for its elected representatives, and no respect for the people who elect those representatives. And if anybody had any doubt about that, you got the example there of what the governor really thinks about the local people.
Mr. Billy, before you go,
yes, please.
I want to vehemently disagree with you about Section 81.
Okay.
Section 81 is not confined to the governor's special responsibilities under Section 55. Mm-hmm. It is wide, and it says, if the governor considers that the enactment of legislation is necessary or desirable with respect to or in the interest of any matter for which he or she is responsible under Section 55, but after consultation with the premier, it appears to the governor that the cabinet is unwilling to support the introduction into the Legislative Assembly of a bill for the purpose of, or that the Assembly is unlikely to pass a bill introduced into for the purpose, the governor may, with the prior approval of a Secretary of State, cause a bill for the purpose. So it seems that under his reserve powers, he can do anything under his reserve powers.
Well, let me just push back on that with respect, Dr. Steve, on that one. First of all, you have just read out that 81 is tied to 55, okay? It says that whenever it appears that in relation to anything relating to his special responsibilities. Okay, that is one. Okay, and then I think that it has to be tied in with those 4. And in any case, However that may be, in my view, once Parliament says we want to take it to the committee, okay, we want to take it to the committee, it is not for him to say pass it.
I agree with that. Yes, yes, we agree with that. I agree with that part. Yes.
Yeah.
But his reserve powers is wide.
Well, yeah, it is wide. I don't think it's as wide as I think you are saying, but we are agreed. I think it's wide. But
yes.
Let me make a political point as well. He already said when he was passing when he overruled Parliament on the civil partnership bill, he said, well, this power that I have to override is a very rare power. We are going to use this very rarely. But does it look now that it is a rare power? It looks like he was ready to exercise it on this one as well. And I think politically people in Cayman have to be more conscious of that and understand that as much as there is a legislative assembly or parliament which is elected, the British government has got very little respect for the processes of that legislative assembly.
Well, you know, Mr. Billy, there the other provision that says where the interest conflict,
right? The interest of the UK shall prevail.
Cake for out.
Yes.
And you are right. You are right about that. He just gives me in closing to mention the point that you see that particular provision you cited, which is correct, of course, that where the two conflict, the British interest override. That is contrary to, I think it is Article 72 or 73 of the UN Charter, which says in any colonial relationship, it is the interest of the local people that are paramount. So the British government is in breach of its international obligations by enacting that provision in the Cayman Constitution. Well, I thank you for the engagement. Very interesting. I'll keep listening.
Thank you, Mr. Billy.
Very much
for calling as usual.
Yeah. Paul, do we still have the other caller there? No other caller. So Doc, that was interesting conversation with Billy. And what it goes back to show you, two things that I want to mention here is that, at the end of the day, and I keep telling people, we talk about the supremacy of Parliament.
Yes.
Our Parliament is really not supreme.
Not supreme.
We do not have full internal self-government. You don't have that if there is the ability there for someone else to negate what you have decided.
And someone to deny what you want to do.
Yes.
How is that is that really democratic? Really?
Now, here is the important point. We hear about the issues that arose and what may or may not have transpired in cabinet. You don't hear that situation in Bermuda. Why? Because the governor does not preside over the cabinet in Bermuda.
The governor has no presence in cabinet in Bermuda.
Now, other overseas territories have attempted to have that done, and the UK has basically said no. And Bermuda's constitution was a pre-independence constitution.
That's
now,
right.
Now, let's just parse that word out for a second. Bermuda's constitution was a pre-independent constitution in 1958. Bear in mind that up until the 1970s, you still had segregation in Bermuda.
That's right.
You still had separate theaters for blacks and whites.
And you had
so when they call it a pre-independence constitution, what they should have called Bermuda's constitution at that time was that it was a constitution that was designed to allow privileged white people in Bermuda to rule themselves. When it came to indigenous people then ruling themselves, no, you can't have what Bermuda has. And the reason you can't have it was because it wasn't intended for people who look like us. Those like us in Turks and Caicos in Bermuda. Now, what will be interesting to see is that what the people in the Turks and Caicos Islands, will come up with now that they have employed the services of Sir Jeffrey Joel to help them with their constitution. We have one caller. Let's see if we can grab the caller before we go to our headline news. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
You got Dr. Steve this morning with you. You've been asking for him.
I am listening keenly, keenly listening to my good friend. Doc, before you go off, I'd like for you to elaborate a little bit on the district councils, as something is brewing in the air from politicians about forming a district or trying to get a district council together. You was into our meetings at the West Bay Action Committee a few years back.
Yes, right.
And I remember you laying out the lines, what should be done. And my understanding is, because you even bought something about, I think it was New Zealand. I remember all of that.
Well, I did research on district councils all over the Commonwealth, Scotland, Ireland, New Zealand, Australia, all over. Yeah, and their roles in upholding democracy.
All right. Now, as my understanding is, a district council, it's done by the people, for the people. It's not done by a lot of politicians. So I would like for you to elaborate a little bit on that and open the eyes of people and let them see what we are missing by not having this district council in place. I've been preaching it and trying to form it, and every time you go, they try to tear you down. So if you got a couple of minutes, please, I would more than appreciate you elaborating a little bit about
Well,
that.
firstly, let's look at Section 119 of the Constitution. Section 119 of the Constitution is the only section in the Constitution where a directive in the Constitution has not been fulfilled. Now, the Constitution, I say, is the primary law of the land. It is the law from where every other law gets their
legitimacy.
Legitimacy. It is the pivot. It is like the axle in a wheel that turns. It is the law that everyone should and must follow, because if you don't do that, there should be consequences, and there are consequences in other jurisdictions. So let's look at what Section 119 says. Section 119 says, subject to this Constitution, a law enacted by the legislature shall provide for the establishment, functions, and jurisdictions of councils for each electoral district to operate as advisory bodies to the elected members of the Legislative Assembly. It didn't say for each district, like West Bay, Northside, Bordentown, East End. It said for each electoral district. Now, from before the Constitution, before we had the one man, one vote and single member constituencies, the Constitution envisaged that this would happen. And the Constitution says that each electoral district, so we have 19 electoral districts. And for that reason, it says to advise, and as advisory body to the elected members of the Legislative Assembly, so that a district council acts as an advisory body to the members of Parliament of the matters that happens in a district. It is like we already have had an advisory body here. In 1955, Major Donalds, when he came as commissioner, as administrator, commissioner, he had an advisory council to advise him while we were transiting into the 1959 into our Constitution. Captain T.O. He had Orrett Conner. He had Benson Ebanks. He had Warren Conley. He had all of those people as advisory council. It doesn't say, the Constitution doesn't say that they has to be elected, because if the British had wanted another elective body in the Cayman Islands other than the legislative body, it would have said so in the Constitution. It's an advisory. The members of Parliament are not bound to take their advice, but it's advisory, and it gives the people in the electoral districts a way into saying to the members that actually should be working for them. because that's what an election is. When someone get elected to the parliament, they are going to work on behalf of the people who elected them. That's what they're getting paid for. Those people have a right under the Constitution, but through district councils, to say, this is what we think should happen in our district. This is what we think should not happen in our districts. And the advisory council deals with things like roads, lighting, liquor license, liens, all of those things that those everyday things that the everyday citizen in an electoral district deals with. The advisory council would deal with that with the members of parliament. I just cannot understand why is it that when the Constitution directs that we have a district council and the Constitution directs that we have a complaint commissioner, it directs that we have a register of interest, it directs that we have an ombudsman, it directs that we have a constitutional commission, it directs that we have all of those other things. Security Council, it directs that we have a National Security Council. All of those things have been fulfilled, except the one thing that would cement our democracy and give the people some say in how their affairs work in their district is the District Council. And I just cannot understand why is it in Cayman that the elected members refuse to put in a district councils.
Okay, Paula.
I understand exactly what's going on, and I say it without fear of friction, gentlemen. When you have people that is elected that are too big to be told, that is a problem in this island. You know, they're afraid that somebody's going to pinpoint something or put them in the right direction. They think it's their way or the highway. So that is the problem that I see with this whole thing.
Okay, caller, thank you very much for that. We've reached the top of the hour. Headline news. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, with Dr. Steve Macfield will continue after headline news.
Continuing the Caymanian tradition.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
Let's spread the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
One person is dead and another in critical condition after a hit and run Tuesday night. Cayman's third fatal crash of the year happened around 9:30 p.m. on Frank Sound Road near the Botanic Park. Police say a Chevrolet Blazer slammed into two cyclists, then sped away. The shooter who killed 6 people at a school in Nashville, Tennessee on Monday bought 7 guns legally and then hid them at home. The investigators say the suspect's parents felt the 28-year-old should not own weapons and didn't realize the guns had been concealed in their house. 6 people, including 3 9-year-old children, were killed in the attack at the Covenant School. The suspect was under, quote, doctor's care for an emotional disorder. An outrage is growing in Mexico following a fire at a migrant center in Ciudad Juarez in which 38 migrants died. Unverified footage has emerged which appears to show the moment the fire started at the center run by Mexico's National Migration Institute. In it, uniformed officers seem to walk away as the blaze erupts in a corner, leaving a group of men behind in what appears to be a locked cell. The men unsuccessfully try to open the barred doors as smoke quickly spreads. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
The headline news are brought to you by Health Services Authority.
HSA's cardiology clinic is now located at Smith Road Medical Center. Our cardiology team provides expert care and treatment for heart conditions such as coronary artery disease, heart failure, arrhythmias, hypertension, congenital heart diseases, among others. The new location offers state-of-the-art cardiac diagnostic testing, including echocardiograms, ECGs, and stress tests. To contact, call 949-8600. At HSA, your heart matters to us.
For the record, with Orrett Conner.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Conner. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Dr. Steve Macfield in the studio with me. We have two callers on hold, so we're going directly to the phone lines. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, sir, Dr.
Good morning, ma'am.
I'm so happy that you are bringing us to our history. It's a pity that you didn't continue with Sir Graham.
Yes.
But I just wanted to say to Mr. O.C. that both of us were part of the constitutional revision in 2009 and knew exactly what it meant by the district council. And Dr. Steve, you're so correct to say that it's advisory. And we spent an enormous amount of time discussing the role of this council as it would be good for the constituency and for the representatives.
Yes, ma'am.
That because what we have is just a national set of politicians, but nothing at the bottom to come up to the politicians. So we felt that this advisory body would certainly cement and help the politicians in their daily work. And I'm sorry that it hasn't been done. The second point I want to make, and I'm not going to be long, is that if we all had agreed when we were discussing the Constitution with Mr. Ian Henry, I think we would be in a better position today. I don't expect Mr. O.C. would comment on that, but I wanted the public...
Can you repeat that again? Repeat it for me, please.
If all of us, according to Mr. Henry, unless we don't agree, it doesn't come to fore.
Right, yeah.
But if all of us on all sides, or four sides or whatever it was, had agreed, we would have almost a similar constitution to Bermuda. But we vehemently, and I remember specifically that some of us didn't even want to have the word Caymanian as a deputy governor. And the way I think we went short was to say an indigenous Caymanian, because that has caused some issues in the Parliament.
Yes,
ma'am. The third point I want to make is on how we are not as constitutional for Cayman as we think, because who appoints the deputy governor for the House? Who appoints the Attorney General? Now, the governor has his representatives in our Parliament. I have said this long time ago, but, I'm a woman, so nobody listens to me. I say that off chance, but it's really so. I may get older, but I have the ability to think. That's one thing the Lord gave me, is a good head. And unless we change that in our Parliament, we have the deputy governor coming and making motions. That's Attorney General. Giving motions, but yet, I forgot the word that they use while they're there. They're not voting members. You can remind me of that word, please.
Right. Ms. Lucio, if I could interrupt you for a second there. I believe that in those negotiations, we also had the opportunity to possibly put a strong position for the deputy governor and the attorney general not to be sitting in our parliament as well. The excuse for that was that when it came to matters of the civil service, that you would have the deputy governor who could speak to those issues. Well, the Legislative Assembly at any point in time can summons the deputy governor down there.
But what's the role of the cabinet secretary?
Yes.
The role of the cabinet secretary, Mr.
Yes, yeah. Well, in many jurisdictions, the cabinet secretary is the head of the civil service. Here in the Cayman Islands, that is not the case.
That's not the case. That's correct.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. We have allowed it, and I think when we can bite these things off, the more independent we will become. When we can make sure that our parliament is fully independent and is not interfered with by the civil service, nor by the governor. except in extreme cases.
Yep.
And we have that in our Constitution.
When we can educate our people, Ms. Lucille, and I wouldn't mind getting with you to do something, because we're getting older now, and we have to leave something behind. We have to leave some sort of legacy behind. We just can't be talking about it and then not do anything about it. I don't know what kind of forum we can...
But, you know, it's not a question that we're getting older. I think we're wiser than we were. And we are more patient and tolerant and astute. And we don't have to worry about making money. We are poor, so we're satisfied that we're poor. We don't worry about those things. But the young ones are anxious to get rich, and I don't blame them.
Yes.
But they must consider, I think what you're doing there on the show with Mr. Orrett, I wish it were like in the evenings, and so when we had a little more time and people weren't going to work. And some people have to hide in their bathrooms to listen to this program. Because, you know, so if we did it a little more, I'm sorry to take up that time, but Mr. O.C., you'd say about it. This is important. It was interesting what Billy said, and I think what he said, I remember well. I was in the 60s, you know that, like you, Mr. But I just wanted to make those points and tell our people that we have to get more involved in what matters to us. Once we are part of it, we should have a say in it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's why I believe in the councils. I really do.
Yep.
think
And our elected officials are denying us that opportunity, and we allow them to do it.
Continue.
We don't hold them. We're not holding them accountable. And
to abide by the Constitution.
You know, that is applicable to the PAC government. It is applicable to the PPM. It's applicable to any government that was in place before that.
It goes way back. It goes way back. Listen, let me tell you something that has bothered me all my life. When I went into Parliament in 2005, Rupert McCoy gave me a list of parliamentarians that had been there. And I looked down on the list and saw a man by the name of Austin Seymour, 1932.
That's right.
And I said, my God, you mean my father's brother was a politician?
That's right, your uncle.
And I didn't know that. That thing bothered me all my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I have decided that I'm not going to hide anything from people, whatever I know.
Mm-hmm.
I say it once it doesn't put me in jail.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I can't stand jail now. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much, Ms. Lucille, for that. I just want to say also that we need to bear in mind that while we were negotiating a constitution, there were members of the negotiating team who were there negotiating, whether or not they were negotiating in good faith, because they turned around and encouraged people not to vote for the new constitution.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why we weren't able to achieve, to a certain extent, the standard that Ian Hendry
wanted to
wanted in terms of everyone agreeing.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the Section 119 is concerned, we know that at that time, the Honorable W. McKeever Bush was the main and probably the only proponent of that concept of advisory district councils. It was placed on the back burner during the constitutional negotiations, and at the 11th hour, when everything was being wrapped up, that is why Section 119 is so short and so short also, and does not have a whole lot of detail in it. And if you doubt me, go to the Constitutional Commission's website. We have the audio as well as the printed verbatim minutes of the constitutional negotiations, and you will see what actually took place there as well. With that, we're going to take a quick commercial break. 2 callers on hold. When we return, we will take those callers, so please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
For the record, with Orrett Conner.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Conner. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're going to the phone lines. Before we go there, Doc, I just want you to put these 2 questions, to take note of those. One person wanted to ask you whether or not it is illegal for government to refuse / ignore implementation of the district councils. And then another person wrote in and said, good morning, sirs. Could the citizens sue the government for not implementing the advisory district councils as well? Let's grab the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Conner.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I am good, and good morning, Dr. Steve.
Good morning, ma'am.
Pleasure to hear you both. And actually, I'm going to do a little bit of repetition. Bear with me. I think it's a little bit of telepathy going on in the island this morning. I have a question. Mr. Conner basically read that question already, but I'm going to ask it. Because I wanted to ask, based on the Constitution and what you have already pointed out to us this morning, I'm asking the question now to you as the legal cap in the room. Mr. Conner is welcome to answer it as well. If what the present government, I'm speaking about the present one because that's the one we have now, if it's illegal that they have refused, and I'm going to stress the word refused, to implement the district councils, and you can just answer that with a yes or a no. And also I want to say that I have been saying for a long time, and it has become much more obvious to me, in the last couple of election cycles, that the biggest problem that we have in Cayman is I equate it to a jury case where the jurors don't know the power that they hold in the courtroom. The people that vote don't know their power either. And I think they need to exercise that power now. They need to demand answers, because what is very apparent is that our people who have the power to vote, and I say this in the most respectful way, they're very politically uneducated. I don't think that a lot of them have taken the time to read the Constitution and know what their rights are, what powers they hold. And it's time that everybody that is laying back, they get out there. They don't have to be running for a seat, but get out there, have meetings, and let us start educating our people. That way, hopefully, we'll make better choices and we'll get different results. So I'm going to shut up. I will listen, and I will wait to hear you answer the question as to whether it's illegal under the Constitution and whatever other laws apply, that the government has refused and still refusing to implement the district councils. And I would like any of the ministers who are listening, please call in, give us your take on it.
Okay.
Tell us why you're not doing it.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. We have 4 callers queued up, so we're going to take the callers, the questions, and then we're going to roll them all up into one when we answer them, and at some point in time then close off the phone line so that we can answer each of them. So Doc, if you can take notes as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to put everybody on a leash at this point in time because we have 4 of them, 4 callers queued up. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC.
Good morning.
Me again. Okay. I often hear on your show the Honorable Dr. McPeel explain to people when the issue or when the topic come up about independence. He often explained that, you know, I got to remember now, I got to get embassy here, embassy there, representative there. That is similar to the one-man, one vote. A lot of Caymanians voted for the one-man, one vote, not knowing what the Constitution said about district council, not for each district, but for every electoral section of the island. So did they know that when they was voting for this one-man, one vote, that would be the case?
Well, actually, the legislation that was passed by the Legislative Assembly in 2011, at that time it says Schedule 1. Name of the Advisory District Council, West Bay Advisory District Council, and the member of the Legislative Assembly to be advised, the member for West Bay. Georgetown Advisory District Council, member for Georgetown. Bordentown Advisory District Council, member for Bordentown. Northside Advisory District Council, member for Northside. East End Advisory District Council, member for East End. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman Advisory District Council, members for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Now, if we implement a new piece of legislation, then I am sure that it is within the purview of our parliamentarians to change that and craft it towards constituencies if they want.
Yes, each electoral district.
Yes.
Yeah, the
right.
Georgetown
Because
West.
you saw the wording. You heard the wording member, and then when it come to Cayman Brac, it said members.
No, sorry.
So,
Well, I tell you what. For West Bay, it said members. All of those multi-member districts, it said members for. East End and Northside, member, yeah.
Right. So members meaning each one would have a council.
Well, they would be the persons who would be advised.
Yes.
Right. They because they're the elected members for that
by one council?
For the council for that district, yes. Yeah. So if you broke it down to constituencies, then it would be the member who has been elected to that constituent. All we have to do is that we whether or not we need to amend the Constitution so that it says advisory constituency councils or whatever.
But the Constitution says electoral districts. Electoral districts.
But we know
you cannot have just a district.
But we still have electoral districts, you know, and within those electoral districts we have constituencies.
Well, I thought electoral districts would mean electoral constituencies.
Constituencies, yes. Yeah. I agree with that. I agree.
Right. So we need every elected member. Not, I wouldn't say every elected member, but like
every elected constituents would have a
district council. Yeah.
Would have a district council?
That's correct.
Don't think people knew that when they voted for the one-man, one vote?
Well, if they knew that, they should have accepted that, because it means that it has decentralized, at least advising it has decentralized that, so that Georgetown South, Georgetown Central or whatever. They all have their little enclave.
That's right.
Where they can speak about.
Yes, right.
That gives them more power.
Exactly.
I know you caller that you're trying to promote the one man or that you're not necessarily in favor of one person, one vote in the Cayman Islands. But what we had
opportunity to vote for 19 people.
What we had there was something that was not really fair and equitable. And Dr. McPhail, who was a member of that committee, I don't know if you've tried convincing Lord Graham yet about the attributes of one person, one vote.
Yeah.
But I'll have to join. I'll have to join him in the office with you to convert you. We're going to have to put you, under some serious conversion therapy.
Yes. you gonna have to do that because sometimes me and him there till 9 o'clock and I'll be on top of him.
Okay, thank you very much. Give us a chance to grab another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Conner, and good morning, Mr. McPhail.
Good morning, sir.
I just have two very short points to make, and I'll give the next caller the opportunity. One, I just want to touch on something you said to Miss Lucille when she was on in regards to trying to get something done to leave a legacy. So I totally agree 100% that we can't keep talking about it. I think you and OC did a good job of demonstrating the kind of autonomy that the governor have over our legislation, and we feel as if it's not a fair pivot, and I agree. So, Mr. McPhail, my only suggestion in that regard would be, because you have the legal frame of mind on how to draft up what sort of things would work in the best interest of Cayman's autonomy within the House of Parliament to legislate things without any major interference that is in the best interest of the Cayman Islands, right? So if you can lay out the legal framework, I think we got a lot of upcoming people who are more than willing to get actively involved with trying to see these things through, even if it's not in your time or my time, but at least the framework would be there and somebody would have started that mission, right? That's number one. Number two, to the district councils, and I agree with Mr. Conner in regards to McKeever being one of the only people who were trying to champion it, because I remember in the 2009 election when the UDP won election, one of the first district councils, and that was through Mark Scotland and John Seymour, was, and I don't know whether or not, because I was heavily involved with the opening of that office. It was the Bodden Town District Council, which was part of the constitutional order, which I think, I don't know if it was legally implemented the way it should have been, but I know we called it Bodden Town District Council because I was one of the executive members of that council. So I know that back then in 2009, which seems to be forever ago, but I know that there was some sort of initiative to implement the district councils because we had taken the position to open up a Bodden Town District Council in the little plaza across from Countryside. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know for what reason or whatever happened why it got lost in translation to all the other districts and no one really took it serious. And I heard Mr. McPhail speak on several occasions asking why they haven't implemented it because it's a constitutional requirement. Mm-hmm. So for me, I agree totally. You know, if the legislative assembly is to honor the Constitution in every respect, because I can tell you from personal experience that the constitutional order in every respect hasn't been upheld in many cases, and the Constitution needs to be reformed in other cases too. But where do we start that trek where we start to have the serious conversations on, one, the hindrances that the Constitution have that we need to change, which is giving the governor way too much autonomy, and two, how do we go about cultivating enough people's support in order to get constitutional reform? Because I can't imagine that we would just depend on the elected members of Parliament to decide whether or not they want to have constitutional reform without public consultation, right? And I think that's the part of the problem why a lot of people are not properly informed, because there was never really any substantial campaign to inform the people about what constitutional changes they wanted to make and what impacts it would have caused for the consequences of the general public. So I'll leave you guys there because I know there's a lot of callers. Thank you again, Mr. McPhail. But if we can get a start on making the necessary changes, I'll be willing to help spearhead some of the efforts to move it forward.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, caller, for that as well. Paul, any more callers? Okay. So let's take that commercial break now. Let's hold off the phone lines for about 15 minutes. Give Dr. McPhail an opportunity to answer some of the questions, and we'll share some more details with them. And I mean, the last caller, for instance, his last question, an article in the Caymanian Compass dated September the 14th, 2017, by a then reporter for the Compass, Mr. Tad Stoner. The headline, Constitutional Commission renews call for advisory district councils. And the members of the Constitution at that time, the chairperson, Mr. Von Carter, members Natalie Urquhart and Mr. Oliver Watler at that point in time. And if I get an opportunity, I will read that for you as well. But if you also, I would address you, and this gives me an idea. I have to get in touch with Mr. Carter and get him on the show now, because there are serious constitutional issues that are arising now. But I am sure that correspondence as well as advice on the implementation of advisory district councils, that you will find them on the Constitutional Commission's website here in the Cayman Islands. Folks, taking a commercial break, but we're also closing off the phone lines for about 15 minutes to give Dr. McPhail an opportunity to respond to some of our callers. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
West Bay Pharmacy. Personalized medicine, customized care to meet your specific needs. Your body is unique to you. Your medicine should be too. Whether you're seeking individual specific medication, correct size dosages, or simply better tasting medicine, ask your pharmacist or healthcare provider about how compounding at West Bay Pharmacy can increase your treatment options, not only for your family, but for your pets too. West Bay Pharmacy, open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sundays and most holidays from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Puritan Cleaners.
Puritan Cleaners, now using the most popular and eco-friendly cleaning solvents. 2 convenient locations to serve you: Savannah Countryside and Eastern Avenue, Georgetown. Drive-through, rain or shine, free pickup and delivery services available. Call Puritan Cleaners, 949-7104. Also ask about our in-house discounts. Puritan Cleaners, you feel good when you look good.
Puritan Cleaners, 949-7104. That's 949-7104.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
For the record, with Orrett Conner.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Conner. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It's my pleasure to have in the studio with me Dr. Steve McPhail. And some of you will probably say, well, OC did say that they were going to make it positive this morning and talk about the good things as well. Well, I want to continue to say that irrespective of what may have transpired in cabinet, what may have transpired in relation to ministerial changes within government, the Cayman Islands are still in safe hands, because at the end of the day, you, or we the people, we have the ultimate say. And we all want to see the Cayman Islands succeed. Some of us have goals that we want to achieve that may be different than others. And there's no reason why all goals cannot be achieved to some extent. But we will continue to function in the Cayman Islands. All of those entities that support democracy based on our Constitution will continue to function. Investors and those who have invested and those who are seeking to invest in the Cayman Islands still have reason to be confident because we continue to operate in a normal fashion. So not to worry about that. What we're talking about now, we're talking about things that can be changed and that can be changed through the legislative process rather than taking to the streets as well. So, Doc, one of the questions that we had, a person wanted to know whether
it was illegal to not implement the district councils.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, to that person, the answer is this: is that bearing in mind that the Constitution is the primary law of the land, and which all the laws receive their legitimacy. There's nothing in the Constitution that directly says that if you don't obey the Constitution, that there are consequences.
Mm-hmm.
There are consequences, of course, like ministerial responsibility and all those sort of stuff. Unless a law was passed that would get us legitimacy under the Constitution that says that if you don't abide by the Constitution, these are the consequences. There's no such law yet in Cayman to that effect. So that what would have to happen now? We can say that the government is acting ultra vires of the Constitution. They're acting outside the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they call ultra vires of the Constitution.
Right.
What the average citizen would have, he would have the right to ask for a judicial review in court, because in our Constitution, the court is the arbiter of interpreting the Constitution, and you would go to the court with a judicial review to review the Constitution and to ask the court whether or not the government is doing the right thing by not implementing the district councils. Now, for your audience and for the listener, there is already a district law that has been passed, that has been enacted since 2011, but that law has not been brought into place. It's not been followed by the successive governments, by this government and by successive governments. So I envisage that what would happen in the courts would be similar to what the governor said a few days ago before he left the island, of the reasons why he implemented the civil partnership law. He said that the Court of Appeal judges said when they said that there were no right to marry in Cayman.
Same-sex marriage.
Same-sex marriage in Cayman. But on the way, by the way, they said, they made some directions that said that the government should provide some sort of solution to it by giving same-sex people some rights similar to the rights that married that the heterosexual people had in their marriage union.
And now, what legal effect did that
had no legal effect? That had no direct legal, because it was not a judgment, but it had implications because it was a direction from the highest local court of the highest local, whichever court of appeal.
And can you simply ignore that?
You could ignore that, but would be some consequences if you could ignore it.
Okay.
Because they said that if they ignore that the government would probably do it by order in council, and that was the threat. The nuclear weapon, the nuclear the nuclear option that the British still have, despite everything, they still have the nuclear option. And that was why the governor implemented that. That's what he said. If we went to court and the court found that there was no illegality or that there was nothing wrong, but they said that it should be done, that that district council should be implemented, and they should be implemented in every electoral district, then that has consequences, because a government could not ignore that if the highest court in our jurisdiction says that. I'm not talking about the Privy Council. The Privy Council is outside our jurisdiction. It's the highest court in the Commonwealth. I'm talking about our Court of Appeal, our appeal court.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the remedy for a person to go to attack or to get remedy or to get solution to why the government is not implementing these district councils.
Okay.
For that one.
Okay. So I want to give a little history, and this article in the Compass by Tad Stoner actually provides some clarity to it. So it says the group comprising Chairman Von Carter and members Natalie Urquhart and Oliver Watler named Democracy and Conflict Prevention as its 2017 theme, noting in a formal statement, quote, critical need to strengthen democratic institutions to promote peace and stability, close of quote, and calling for, quote, effective and inclusive democratic governance with respect for human rights and the rule of law. The article goes on to say that the Commission's call for advisory district councils, the statement said, reflects Section 119 of Cayman's 2009 Constitution, which refers to panels, quote, for each electoral district to operate as advisory bodies to the elected members of the Legislative Assembly, offering, and I quote, the people of the Cayman Islands a chance to engage and influence the democratic process.
Yes.
So the rhetorical question to the people of the Cayman Islands is, are you given the chance or the opportunity to engage and influence the democratic process? My answer to you is that the only way that you get to do that now is via social media, and you don't know who is reading and who is listening, so you can't really hold anyone to the account. To account. So my answer to you is no, you are not given a chance to engage.
But my other question is, do they want to be engaged in a democratic process?
Well, if you listen to some, to most of them, I would say yes, they want to be engaged in that process. So the article goes on to also to say in 2011, then Premier McKeever Bush introduced legislation to create advisory councils. The effort fell flat in the face of opposition claims that the groups would serve only as political support for Mr. Bush's United Democratic Party. And maybe that may have been the interpretation based on the way that the legislation was written.
Maybe that, and all of that on them, on those people who are criticizing it.
Yep.
Maybe that was their opinion.
And it goes on to say the legislation at the time stalled after Alden McLaughlin, leader of the People's Progressive Movement, now called the Progressives, refused to support the bill, preventing PPM members from accepting council seats. In the Progressives' 2017 manifesto released before the May general elections, the party stated that it would be making, and I quote, the necessary amendments to the advisory district councils law to ensure that a district council is established in each electoral district to enable voters to interface directly with their elected representatives. According to the manifesto, each council would be given an annual budget for which they will present audited financials to fix the small irritants in their communities that matter most to them and which may be overlooked by central government or simply take too long to correct. District MLAs would be required to attend quarterly meetings of their respective advisory district councils to address their concerns, advise them on government's plans and policies, and get feedback from the community, the manifesto continued. Currently, the only advisory district council that meets regularly is Northside Council. Thursday's statement from the Constitutional Commission, while lamenting the 2011 failure, suggested that the time may be right to try again. The Constitution, it said, requires a law to provide for the establishment, functions, and jurisdiction of advisory district councils. Such a move, and I quote, may now benefit from fresh review and evaluation in light of subsequent constitutional developments, including the establishment of single-member constituencies. And goes on. So, again, yes. And if we had advisory district councils in place, maybe, just maybe, we would not have what was purported to have taken place yes. in the cabinet yes. as well. And maybe, not maybe, definitely, if the law was in place and it had the provisions, would have held all of the elected members more accountable to their constituencies. Yes. Okay, let's take that last commercial break, Doc, and I'm going to give you the mic after that. Yes. I think I've read enough. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly. We'll keep the phone lines closed at this point in time.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
Now is your chance for big savings on all GE appliances at Brand Source Home Gallery. Shop now through the 31st and save 15% on all GE appliances, laundry centers, refrigerators, ranges, cooktops, wall ovens, beverage centers, wine coolers, hoods, and more. Now through the 31st at Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park. Don't miss this chance to save 15% on all GE appliances. Hurry in today and save big. And also find fantastic deals on scratch and dent appliances.
K-Man In Style Fashion Week is here. A weekend of fashion, art, and music. Local and international models will grace the runway. Events will kick off with a welcome party on Thursday, March 30th, 7 p.m. at Courtyard, Grand Pavilion. The soiree is on Friday, March 31st, 6 p.m. at the Ritz-Carlton, hosted by international celebrities Anita Hawkins and Jacinth Headlam. America's Next Top Models, Kiara Belen and Naima Mora, will host the exciting runway show on Saturday, April 1st. Red carpet from 6 to 7 p.m. and showtime is at 7 p.m. On Sunday, April 2nd, enjoy the Escape, a chartered sailing excursion. Join K-Man In Style Fashion Week for this exciting 4 days of events. Part proceeds to the Alex Panton Foundation. Get your tickets from NKY Collection, Funky Monkey, Creative Fashion and Design, Ooh La La, Winner's Circle, Funky Tangs, and Rock Gorgeous Hair Salon.
For the Record with Orrett Conner.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the Record with Orrett Conner continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Dr. McPhee has stepped out of the studio for a minute. He'll be right back. Meanwhile, what I will share with you is some sections of the Advisory District Council's law that was passed in the Legislative Assembly in September of 2011, I believe it was. So if we look at the composition, Section 4 of that piece of legislation, the composition of the councils, and we know that it hadn't come into effect, right? It says a council shall consist of the following members, all of whom shall be appointed by the governor in cabinet. So, like other members of statutory boards, they're appointed by the governor in cabinet, which basically means the cabinet, not the governor in his personal capacity, but the governor in cabinet. So there would be a chairman, a vice chairman, a secretary, a treasurer, and not exceeding 6 other members, at least 2 of whom shall, subject to subsection 2, be recommended by the leader of the opposition appointed under Section 68 of the Constitution. And in making the appointments, the governor in cabinet shall be cognizant of recommendations made to him from within the electoral districts. So let's see what subsections 2 says. Subsection 2 says, where the representation in the Legislative Assembly for any given electoral district is split between 2 or more political parties, each party may make recommendations for appointments to the council for the district, but where the recommendation for the party in the opposition are accepted, subsection 1 shall have no effect. So basically, again, this law, Doc, was crafted based on not single-member constituencies, but multi-member constituencies, which were in place at the time. So this would need to be recrafted. Yeah, no question. Yes.
Yes.
Over to you.
Yes. Some people have been asking me about not what happened in cabinet, but how is a minister appointed and how is a
yes. We started that. We were going to do that.
Yes.
You have your copy of the Constitution there with that?
And,
go right ahead.
And how is a minister
removed
from cabinet?
Okay.
And I would like to begin by speaking about Section 49. And I don't want to go through the whole section because Section 49, 1, 2, 3, 4. And let me start with Section 49, 5. 49, subsection 5.
Mm-hmm.
It says, after the appointment of the premier shall advise the governor to appoint other ministers. Appointment of the premier and other ministers shall be made by the governor by instrument under the public seal. If occasion arises for making an appointment of any minister between the dissolution of the Legislative Assembly and the polling in the next following general election, a person who was an elected member of the Legislative Assembly immediately before the dissolution may be appointed as a minister, and the governor shall, without delay, report to Her Majesty through a Secretary of State every appointment made under this section. The members of the cabinet shall each, before assuming the functions of his or her office, make before the governor oaths of allegiance and for the due execution of his or her office in the form set out in the schedule of this Constitution. And the governor and the premier shall confer on a regular basis, and the premier shall brief and keep the governor fully informed about the policies of the government and the public affairs of the Cayman Islands.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's how the governor
mm-hmm.
that's how they shall be appointed.
Okay.
Can
you look at 52, the tenure?
And then it says tenure. The tenure of ministers. If any minister shall vacate his or her office, and that's the tenure of
any
minister
shall vacate his or her office.
If he or she ceases to be a member of the legislative assembly, and for any reasons other than its dissolution, if he or she is not a member of the legislative assembly when it first meets after a general election, if he or she resigns his or her office by writing under his or her hand address to the governor, or if he or she is absent from the Cayman Islands or absent from 3 consecutive meetings of the cabinet without, 1, in the case of the premier, having given the governor prior notice of such absence, or 2, in the case of any other minister having obtained written permission for such absence from the governor, acting in accordance with the advice of the premier. And then subsection 2 says, a minister other than the premier shall also vacate his office or her office if the premier vacates his or her office. That means that's when there's no confidence in the premier. Or B, his or her appointment is revoked by the governor acting in accordance with the advice of the premier by instrument under the public seal. I'll repeat that.
Yes.
A minister other than a minister shall vacate his or her office if his or her appointment is revoked by the governor acting in accordance with the advice of the person, of the premier, by instrument under that public seal. So it seems to me that the governor has the ultimate power.
So the two options there, 52C, if he or she resigns his or her office by writing under his or her hand address to the governor, which the premier says in our particular case, the current case, that he requested that resignation letter, and it wasn't forthcoming.
He requested the minister to resign. He said it was not forthcoming. It was not forthcoming.
So he took.
He took
other option.
So he took section 52(2)(b). That is that he revoked. He had the governor to revoke his appointment. Now, just let me give a little rundown about what is expected of a minister when you get elected, when you be appointed as a minister. Now, everybody knows in Cayman that, or should know in Cayman, that the minister now is responsible. It's a minister of cabinet. The cabinet is the organization that actually runs the political side of the government. They run the elected side of the government. There's 2 sides of the government. There's the executive side, which is run by the governor, and then there's the political political side, which is run by the cabinet. Which that's also an executive side, but that's the political executive side, and then there's the constitutional colonial side, which is run by a governor. Once you are elected to cabinet, become a minister, and you're elected and you're part of the cabinet system, they have something called the doctrine of ministerial responsibility. Now, the doctrine of ministerial responsibility, it's a collective responsibility, works in practice depending on the constitutional machinery, tradition, and the personalities in cabinet. What the doctrine of collective responsibility does, it prevents breaches of cabinet solidarity. It prevents breaches of disclosure of differences in cabinet. It compels resignation in face of cabinet rebellion. And in our jurisdiction now, when we have the conduct of, what's it called, the ministerial conduct? What's it called? The
Ministerial Code of Conduct.
Ministerial Code of Conduct. Now, the doctrine of ministerial responsibility is codified in the Ministerial Code of Conduct that was in the past a constitutional convention. Now, ministers are responsible for the working of their ministries. They're also responsible collectively to cabinet and to the parliament that they serve, that parliament that they have been elected in, and their collective responsibility and their collective responsibility is inhibited. But their collective responsibility is inhibited by the governor reserve powers. Now, everybody should know that. The governor has reserve powers that inhibit their collective responsibility. The governor can remove the minister, as we have just said. We just read under that section. And the ex-official members' appointment can be revoked by the governor also. The ex-official members that sit in the cabinet, which is deputy governor and the
attorney general.
And the attorney general. And I want to say, let us not forget that this is a post-election administration. The PAC government are not bound together by party allegiances. That's another problem that we have. So you would not expect constant give and take in reaching policy decisions. And as I have told many people, that I have never seen anywhere in the Commonwealth where independents actually form a cabinet government. It is so difficult to do that because all of the countries in the Commonwealth who adopted the Westminster system of government are party systems.
Party systems, yes.
Because the Westminster system of government, by historical origin, is a party system.
We in the Cayman Islands, we have this thing of developing hybrids. There's always we always do things that don't adhere to the norms, that they deviate.
They don't work.
They deviate one way or the other. Hybrids.
They won't work.
And I do understand the fact that sometimes you have to craft ideas and legislation to suit your particular circumstances, but there are some things that you either in it or you're not.
You're not in it.
Okay. So what I want to share, 10 o'clock, but I want to share with you, just to remind you that and Doc, you spoke to this, our members of cabinet do swear an oath of office when they take office as well.
Right. Yes.
And here is what they say, because in the Constitution, in the schedule of the Constitution, there are forms of oath and affirmations. There's an oath of allegiance. There's an oath for due execution of judicial office. There's an oath for due execution of office. So, and in this particular case, the office is the office as a minister with portfolio responsibilities. And it says, I do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to, and in this case now it would be His Majesty, the King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law. So help me God. That's the one for oath of allegiance. The other one, oath of due execution of office. I do swear that I will well and truly serve His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, and the people of the Cayman Islands in the office of, and you would insert that, so in this case, in the office of cabinet minister or minister with responsibilities for, and you name out the subjects.
Yes.
So help me God. So I would say that every member of cabinet would say, I swore an oath and I am going to uphold that oath as well. Now, what they're upholding may be diametrically opposed to what others may think within that cabinet. But at the end of the day, while you speak about the principle of collective responsibility.
Yeah.
If you feel that your disagreement is so untenable that you cannot continue to sit in the cabinet because of the differences of opinions, then you have the right to resign or to leave.
A party system, you would have to resign.
Yes, yeah.
If you did not agree with the other members of cabinet.
Okay, this person says, is there a higher expectation of it falling apart in the independent system and a lesser expectation when... I'll have to do this one on Friday. Sorry about that. Folks, we've gone way over time. I just want to say to you, Cayman Islands is still in good hands.
Yes.
Because you, the people of the Cayman Islands, still have lots to say, and you still, at the end of the day, have the final say, despite the fact that you don't have your advisory district councils as well. So we say to you, please stay safe.
Bearing in mind, we are good people. We have always been good people, peaceful people.
Yeah.
And that is the reason why we don't see people out in the streets. We don't have riots. We don't have all of those things. We don't have security police on streets and so forth with shields and so forth. And that's because we are a peaceful people, and that's what we are continue to be.
Yes. So, folks, have a great day. Please stay safe, and God bless.
For the record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery. Inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy. Taking care of your health. And JN Money. From abroad to yard. Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949